economy and subsequently in our local communities. The use of this loophole in our drug laws to target and criminalize young people, in particular Black and Latino young people, is not only ethically wrong, but it's a bad economic policy. By standardizing the penalties for marijuana possession with the laws that have been in place and in effect since 1977, we will save taxpayers millions, thousands, if not millions of dollars, provide for a broader opportunity for the social growth and promote greater fairness throughout our state. And before I cast my vote officially, I just want to commend my neighbor, my dear friend from Crown Heights, Assemblyman Camara, the governor and the speaker leadership. I want to commend also the many advocacy groups, their staffs, and the volunteers who remain diligent, steadfast towards making this a reality, and I'm proud to cast my vote. Likewise, before I cast my vote, I want to thank all of my colleagues, both on the other side of the aisle, those who vote in the affirmative and those who won't, for a robust debate on this bill, because I think it made for a better understanding for all New Yorkers what this bill is really all about. So I cast my vote in the affirmative, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Mosley in the affirmative. Ms. Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend the sponsor of this bill. It's very important because so many of the victims of stop and frisk, which is in fact a form of racial profiling, are passed into the system because they have small amounts of marijuana. What this bill does is reduce that amount, and it allows them to now pay a fine and continue to be productive citizens. They also realize that should this occur, there are further consequences with greater severity. So we're not encouraging the use of marijuana, but simply saying where there are small amounts, people should not be criminalized. It sends them into the system and denies them of so many opportunities in terms of housing, in terms of education, and in terms of being a contributor to the economic vitality of the city and state. So I want to again commend the sponsor, and I vote in the affirmative.
Ms. Barrett in the affirmative. Mr. Cahill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This piece of legislation corrects a technical defect in the existing law that was applied in a way that defies logic no matter how you slice it, except in the most extreme of interpretations. This step today will now recognize that there is no essential difference in terms of the mind of the individual as to what's in their pocket and what's in their hand. That's an important distinction to make, I guess, in the minds of some law enforcement representatives. But I stand here today as other states have decided to erase these laws from their books altogether. Some states have even today announced revenue opportunities for those states in the proliferation that they expect in the use of marijuana in their state. Then we have other states that have used these other devices to treat it as a medical necessity, but anybody who's observing knows full well that the real intent was a backdoor legalization. That's what's happening in other states. But finally today, we recognize that law enforcement is in fact a precious commodity, that prison cells ought to be a precious commodity, and that more importantly, the young people of our state should be treated as the precious commodity that they are. I applaud the sponsor of this legislation in this House for passing this today. I withdraw my request and I vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Cahill in the affirmative. Mr. Crespo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to commend the sponsor and the leadership of this House for bringing this bill to the floor. Similar to a lot of folks here, I got to share that I have strong ideas and concerns and a conviction to addressing the perils of addiction in general in our communities, particularly as they impact our youth. But sometimes we have to measure our ideas and beliefs to what's really happening in our communities, and representing a district where so many young people have been mistreated and just for following orders from law enforcement, as we encourage them to do, have been criminalized and given limited opportunities to move forward in their lives. We have to address that problem, and this technical correction will go a long way to still punishing those that's probably making better choices, but giving them an opportunity to move forward and move past that. I think everyone in this chamber has at one point done something they probably regret, but we've been given an opportunity to get past that issue, and I think all of our youth in the state deserve the same chance. Thank you.
Mr. Crespo, in the affirmative. Mr. Rodriguez.
I too would like to thank the sponsor of this legislation for his advocacy in terms of bringing to light what truly has been an unfortunate double standard that has existed with respect to law enforcement. And this double standard has resulted in 50,000 arrests a year of young people, predominantly black and Hispanic in the city of New York. But it doesn't mean that's not a practice that can expand beyond New York City, as stop and frisk is implemented in other parts of the state. This is the beginning in terms of allowing folks to have a second chance, those who deserve it, those where the doors have been closed and their ability to pursue job opportunities, to pursue opportunities for tuition and financial aid, to really open the door for advancement of our young people after they may make a mistake along the way. This is important legislation to providing equity, to allowing that the Rockefeller drug laws and the repeal and the measures that we took to address that are truly felt by all the people that that exist within the state of New York. So I'm proud to support the legislation. I want to thank the sponsor for his work in this effort, for really providing a true opportunity for our young people to be able to succeed here in the state of New York. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez, in the affirmative. Mr. Stepp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a concern that I think this bill addresses, that we have too often in this country, take a Puritan mentality toward things and try and brand people with the scarlet letter because they made a mistake early in their lives. This bill reminds me of the statement on this issue by a Republican leader, Newt Gingrich, who once was asked if he had ever smoked marijuana, and he replied and said, "That only proves that I'm young, and I was young and in graduate school in the 70s. I think the point being that people do make mistakes and should be given every opportunity to move on and not be branded forever. So I do commend the Speaker for supporting this bill, and Mr. Kamara for introducing it. I withdraw my request and vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Stepp, in the affirmative. Ms. Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to explain my vote as well, and I want to start by commending the sponsors for this legislation. I know there has been a vigorous debate with lots of very, very valid points made on both sides. In the end, though, I do believe that this bill is about correcting a technical difficulty or technical error and or defect, if you will, in current law. I want to make very clear, however, while I understand that we need to correct this defect in current law, this is not at all condoning the use of any illegal drugs. They remain illegal. And that's very, very important to me because I think it is important that we set a right tone in this state and make sure that this is not at all a condoning of any drug use. However, I also know that the stop and frisk, the way that this has been abused, has caused problems and led to criminal records for way, way too many of our youth, particularly youth of color. I had the good fortune to serve on the previous governor's children's cabinet, and I heard testimony after testimony about how many lives have been destroyed because of the abuse, if you will, of the current law. And I do think that it's important that we correct that record. I'm fortunate that this has not been an issue in my district, but I do think this sends a larger message, and I think we should care about all the children of this state. So I withdraw my request and vote in the affirmative for this bill. Thank you.
Ms. Bailey, in the affirmative. Mr. Kamara.
You almost got your head
Thank you, Mr.
smacked.
Speaker. I'd just like to thank
I'm filming
the Speaker,
right here.
particularly like to thank the
You
Chair,
couldn't say excuse me or
Council,
notice that I was here.
those who support the bill, even those who, for whatever reason today, don't support it because of geographical or philosophical reasons. I just want to make clear that this bill, again, as some people have said, does not legalize drugs, does not condone drugs. I don't smoke marijuana. My young children, while they live in my household, will not smoke marijuana. Once they're emancipated, I would advise that they don't. But by the same token, this bill deals with what's practical and what's just. I agree with those many law enforcement agencies, clergy, youth advocates that feel that the best way to deal with marijuana use is not by giving young, predominantly African American, Latinos, 16 to 24-year-old boys and girls criminal records. There's a better way to deal with this. We can find a better way. This is what's good not only for the individual, but it's also what's good for each community they live in and what's good for society. So again, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm casting my vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Kamara in the affirmative.
Codes and health email. Ways and means they added yesterday. I don't know how I was really taking this picture. I was writing it there and looked up and talked. Wait, like, yeah, this is the one that goes there.
Are there any other votes? Announce the result.
Ayes 80, noes 59.
The bill is passed.
Yeah! Woo! My bad.